I'll just maybe introduce the session here, and also the next speaker. Thank you all for staying. I know it's Friday evening; it's late, but it really goes to show the commitment the panel, the audience has as well, and the wonderful lineup that we have to close this entire week out. What a week it has been! So, AtmaNirbhar, this was a word. This was the term that was coined, a few months ago when the Prime Minister came out and set the agenda for the country. So what does it really mean? He came out with 5 pillars, of which 2 are very relevant to this session. That's one is the infrastructure, and the other is system or technology. And those are the 2 pillars that we will do a deep dive on. And who better to kickstart that than Dr. Badri Gomatam, who heads the tech function at STL and also happens to be my boss. So I personally am privileged to invite him to speak on the topic of how India, that has provided so much to the world already, can take it one step forward and be self-reliant and in the area of design and manufacturing and IP creation, and not only support India but also the global landscape. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Badri Gomatam, and RK, please bring him on. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, Badri, please go ahead. You can. Do we have his presentation?
Can I see the presentation, or how do I project it from?
I think you can click the up arrow, the share screen, and start off.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, Akash or somebody can help on the back end.
I can share screen.
Yeah.
Hopefully this works.
Oh. Yeah, I think it's showing up as a dual screen.
Okay.
Maybe.
Sorry. Choose the application or tab option. Okay, let me try this again.
Do you want?
No, one second. Let me try
Akash
this.
Yeah.
Okay, application window. There it is. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go. You can just go into presentation mode. Yeah.
Great. Is it in presentation mode or? Okay, fine.
It's working good.
Okay, great. Hey, thank you everyone for the introduction. Well, the presentation just disappeared again, so I don't know. Did I do something? Okay. Sorry everybody.
Right. No worries.
No problem, sir. You can try. In case you find it challenging, or probably we can ask our team to present. You can try one more time. If that doesn't work,
yeah, sure.
We are there to.
Yeah.
How is this now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rajesh, for the introduction and kind words. Really privileged to be a part of this forum. I know there's a lot of energy and time spent this whole week, and this is the end of the session, and it is Friday, even if it's COVID Friday, right? So anyway, I think the discussion today is just around where we are on the AtmaNirbhar, the IP context, and the design and manufacturing from India by the world. I'll keep my remarks brief. I think we have a distinguished panel following this, and really privileged to be a part of this Indian ecosystem. I think there's a lot that is going on in terms of the vision of where we are today and what we hope to achieve in the coming years, both just for the organizations and the companies that we set out to build, and also what differences that we could make for the country, as well as the social context in which we find ourselves today. I think, right, that is kind of the motivating thought, at least that's going in my mind at the moment. So if you look at just the context setting, and I'm sure all of us are familiar with what is going on in this in the world today, digitization, meaning that and then some people use the word digitalization, and so you can sort of, I don't want to split hairs on the interpretation of the word digitization, meaning that the world is going digital, and the number of connections is increasing, and I think. Even this number of 20 megabits per second is dated if we go with the context in which we find our discussions on 5G today, right? Um, the, uh, uh, the scale at which this demands everywhere is basically to make this happen, worldwide. What the world requires today, I'll start with the bottom right, the best-in-class R&D, best-in-class research and development. Low-cost manufacturing, well, that's a relative term, but cost-effective manufacturing is a better way. But more importantly, it's large-scale manufacturing, and then driven or coupled very tightly to where we find ourselves in the world today, which is on the innovation in software, where I think India has found a unique position over the last 15 to 30 years. Right? So if you look at where we are going in front of the times ahead of us, India as a country is all set to serve these opportunities, right? There is a globally trained, locally available talent. Many of us have had the good fortune to have studied abroad or worked abroad, and it is no longer an aspiration for someone to go abroad and study or work. It is something that has been happening consistently. There's exposure to what is happening globally in terms of technology, in terms of how the world works, understanding how the world works. Right? Indian origin companies are now amongst the top in the globe. Many of the top leadership across the world, if you count them, you will find across the world a lot of people who started off here with their roots in India. There's a healthy competition amongst states in India for manufacturing growth. There is a lot of policy support today by the government of India, and it's a very economically viable human resource pool, right? And put it all together, it has all the right ingredients for us to become a global design and manufacturing hub, right? And that is the context with which we are starting off today. Right? Now, ourselves at STL have been around for 25 years. We find ourselves today at a unique place from where we have also transformed our identity many times over those years. I myself have been fortunate to be a part of this journey over the last 9 years. We started off as a manufacturer of basically bespoke cable and in the copper and aluminum for phone wires, phone cables, and then we started by indigenously building a complete ecosystem of both the chemicals as well as the process equipment and process technology to build optical fiber and build optical fiber preforms, a fairly complex chemical engineering and plastics engineering for the cable. And as we grew, we started basically, aspiring to become a global company. And we started off by, setting a foot in the door in China, and then moving into Brazil, and then into investing heavily in research and development. We were fortunate enough to spend a day with the late Dr. Kalam, who was kind enough to, grace his presence that day to start our inaugural R&D center. And then over time, basically, we've grown with the way optical connectivity has grown around the world. We've been fortunate enough to be a part of this growth in internet connectivity and the adoption of the mobile handset ecosystem, which has in turn fueled the optical connectivity. And of late, basically, we have transformed ourselves or moving into more on the data centers and in the radio and the virtual radio space. Right? And we basically feel that, that there is a tremendous potential for India to take this kind of sheer determination, hard work, and put this context into how we can look forward for the next 25 to years and beyond. Right? India has been doing great so far. I mean, there is just a very, very healthy ecosystem of startups today. People who have worked for companies. A number of companies are here today with us. I just made a very, very small example in the context of 5G, as well as in the context of connectivity, active and passive connectivity. There are test beds in multiple government institutions. There are system integrators like the Tatas and the Infosys of the world, and to a certain extent, people like ourselves and like the HFCL group, not to mention the Wipros of the world. A tremendous amount of intellectual bandwidth is available for us to just tap into with all the engineering institutions, the IITs, and then so on and so forth. Right? And to just make a small, it has not gone unnoticed. Obviously, global companies have are heavily investing in India. There are the Samsungs and the Foxcons and the Nokias who are now set up shop and are doing extremely well in terms of their engineering and R&D efforts in within the in the Indian context, right? So we still have a long way to go. I think that was just a build up to where we are, right? Where we are, and as we all know, we still have about half of the world to be connected, right? And that is where I think the opportunity lies ahead for people like ourselves, and where we find ourselves today in both a certain, limited geopolitical context, as well as in the fact that there is a tremendous opportunity given where we have come from ahead of us, right? And this is not to be this is not to be looked at as a challenge, but as a tremendous opportunity, especially if I go back 30 years ago, and as you look at it from the world as a young graduate, I would find that this is basically where we where we are able to make your mark in the world as a young person, right? So I'll just sort of try to set some context and what are the three key things that we need to focus on, on the intellectual property side, and what we need to do on the operational excellence and on the ease of capacity building. And these are the three areas I think we feel, given our own history in the industry and bringing things together and making it so far. The R&D innovation, and this is really important. I think we have all the right ingredients, a focus on indigenous designs at the right cost points, at the right sale, at the right price points to be sold in the market. Getting globally recognized labs for both for testing and accreditation, as well as for some of the fundamental work that needs to happen in terms of the next generation of communications and technologies. Creating intellectual property, this is really paramount to the way the legal framework around which technology is deployed and digested today in the global markets. This is something maybe in the past we haven't, as a nation, been very cognizant of its importance. We at Sterlite have, spent quite a bit of effort in setting up systems and processes, business processes within the company to encourage our, our young engineering population, as well as the the mid-level and senior leadership, in how to pull together a steady state run rate of innovation and inventiveness, and converting that into marketable patents. And our portfolio over the last few years has grown fivefold, from about 60 patents about 8 or 9 years ago to about close to 380 today. And I'm proud to say it was completely made here on Indian ground, right? And I think there's just no reason that we have been particularly fortunately successful. This is something I think can be replicated and encouraged, and it's really important, and it is not very expensive, right? Tax incentives, obviously, that is one we all look forward to. On the operational excellence, I think that is the second pillar of how an AtmaNirbhar vision becomes reality for organizations like ourselves, right? From smaller organizations, we need to grow. We need, improved access to doing business. We need an excellent supply chain, and I think there's a tremendous opportunity beyond just the manufacturing of finished goods. The supply chain and logistics and all piece parts and components that need to be sourced within the country. I think some of the places like China have done an excellent job on this, tax and operational expenses support. And in terms of capacity building, what is manufacturing, without capacity? The capacity building, again, you need land acquisition. That has to be, much, and we're looking forward to how that becomes transformed in the days to come, using more digital tools, rapid approvals and capital support and loans and so on and so forth. I'll conclude my remarks at this point. I think just to summarize, I think there are 2 or 3 areas we need to focus on, and I think we've got a very good start as India on the R&D and the innovation side, given our global exposure. I think we focus on the operational and the ease with which we should be able to build capacity. This vision that we have of an IP-led AtmaNirbhar that the Prime Minister has articulated is within reach. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'll stop here right now.
Thanks, Dr. Badri. Any questions from the audience or the chat? I'm just trying to check if there's anything there. Yeah. Okay, I see none at the moment. So yeah, thanks, Badri. That was
Sure.
really very elucidating. And clearly, there's a few things that we have to work out. We've done a good job so far, but there's some ways to go. And policy and standards and TSTSI has a big role to play in it. Yeah, so with that, I would maybe like to introduce Dr. Kumar Shivarajan, who is going to lead a panel of esteemed guests. And without much ado, I'll just hand it over to him to take it forward. We'll come back after. So, thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, Badri, as well, for a very nice, informative talk. So I like your prescription: R&D innovation, operational excellence, and capacity building. So that sort of sets the stage for the next discussion. Okay, so I now invite the panel to come up. I don't know, host, do you have to change any of the panel as speakers?
Yes, sir. Let me do that. Let me invite the panel onto